What's up, y'all? It is your girl, Sarah from SarahStylesLLC here. Welcome to today's video. We are going to be talking about PoshFest 2020 Day 2 recap. I have three resellers that are coming on, and we're going to chat about all things that happened on Day 2. I did do Day 1, so if you want to watch the recap of that, go ahead and head back after this video and watch the recording. So if you want to watch or learn about PoshFest 2020, let's get into it. Thank you so much for joining. If you like content like this, I'm a reseller, talk about all things reselling as pertaining to data and just various different ways to build a business reselling. Like I said, today we are going to be talking about PoshFest 2020. So if you like content like that, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button on the way out. So today, like I said, I'm going to have 3 resellers on. I'm going to go ahead and bring them on. We have, let me do this for you. AshleyWheeler of 8, and that 8 stands for 8 children. I've had her on before, and it just blows my mind that she does this with 8 children. She is like superwoman. And then Tori and Bill, if you guys do not know Tori and Bill, GirlyGrrlStyles 3245. They are absolutely amazing. I love having them on my channel. We are going to dig into PoshFest 2020. I will let you guys give, as we wait for people to hop on, maybe just a quick little bio. It's going to be a meaty content today, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about ourselves. But as we let people join on, if you guys want to just give a little bit of a recap about who you are and if you full-time, part-time, whatever.
Do you guys want to go first?
Oh, sure. So in a nutshell, we are online resellers. I've been doing it for over 25 years, in person, and then recently, last few years on Poshmark, and then this one over here went full-time
2 years ago?
I feel like it was just yesterday, but yeah, and we work hand in hand together as a partnership, and our primary platform is Poshmark. And I was a speaker at PoshFest 2009 last year, and I've also been on their YouTube channel and been featured a number of times. So I love Poshmark, and I sucked this one in to the game.
And Bill, are you strictly on, because you're full-time, are you strictly on Poshmark, or you do other?
A little more Kari, but main 95% is Posh, yeah.
Okay. All right, Ashley, what's up with you, girl?
Okay, so I have been a reseller for about 3 years now. I was working hand in hand with my full-time job for 2 years. And a year ago, right before PoshFest, I actually ended up going full-time. I actually got to go to your speaking thing. I remember it was inventory, wasn't it, that you spoke on? I loved that. So I just really got fired up after that and was really able to dig into it more as a business. And by January of 2020, I was able to replace my full-time income, which was perfect because it was right before COVID hit. It was right before all the school changes. And I would have had to let go of my job at COVID timeframe because I had nowhere to take my kids. So it just came at the time for my family. My husband gets to tag along the way and he gets the opportunity, but he still is working. And yeah, we just love doing this. I am on Poshmark and eBay. We're playing around with different types of inventory to sell on eBay, but I love my clothes. I love my shoes. And that's what fires me up and keeps me going.
That's how I am too. I've looked at getting into other things and I don't get excited, and I'm like, I'm going to dread this. So I'm just not. I'm going to find ways to make what I love sell. So both of them, Ashley, you have a YouTube channel. Are you putting content out currently, or it's mostly just on Instagram?
It is mostly on Instagram. I had batched some videos that because COVID hit, I just wasn't able to get them posted. I've been really thinking a lot about it, and actually Day 2, one of the topics, I got to do the recap of it, and I was really seeing how simplistic it can be. And I think I was just really overwhelming myself. So yes, those are still batched and I can still absolutely publish those.
Okay, so I follow her definitely on Instagram. Great content over there. And she does have a YouTube, so follow her there. If I have any moderators that can put links in the comments for me, I'd appreciate it. I don't remember who's I've made a moderator, but Tori and Bill have, mostly Tori. Bill just kind of hangs out and joins along and leaves little tidbits. But they have definitely a YouTube channel and then Instagram as well. I've noticed you're on Instagram a bit more than you used to be, Tori. So let's get into it. Day 2, I did do a recap of day 1. So if you guys are interested in day 1, head back and watch the recording of that. Tori and Bill did a live yesterday about the whole Posh Fest, so you guys can go over it and watch that as well. Before we get into it, though, I did have some mystery boxes for sale this weekend. I do have a couple left, so if you guys are interested in an activewear mystery box, go ahead and www.SarahStylesLLC.com. There's a couple left before they're sold out. So let's get into it. Day 2 started, and tell me how much you loved the Serena. It started with Manish and Serena's daughter like kept coming in, and I mean it was just perfection because I mean I have kids. I try to do this with kids. My YouTube videos that I record, you know, I have to like cut out and be like, sorry, my kid, because I don't let my kids on social media. So I just loved how real she was. What did you guys think about that session?
Yeah, agreed. And I feel like that was the only reason he got out of bed was to see Serena. He was like, oh, it's so early. I want to sleep in. But he was really excited. So what did you think about her?
She is the best. I mean, she's nice. She's strong as hell. She knows her game. She's awesome. I've always loved her.
Well, and one of the quotes I took away that I actually wrote down was, if life was so easy, it wouldn't create character. And I feel like that right there, when she said that, I was like that. I feel like all of us, we've all had to pivot, you know, as you mentioned, Ashley. And it's kind of like when she said that, I'm like, yes.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And just the realness of her, like, kind of moving the thing over and being like, sorry, my daughter's right here. I'm like, yes, you just spoke to every single mother like out there, or just anyone who's in the chaos of like, that is real life right now. It's just 100%. I think everyone appreciated that. But that was my last quote I put. If life was easy, it wouldn't create character. And I feel like 2020 is the epitome of that. I feel like if I look at that, I'm like, you've literally 2020 has like pushed every single button it possibly could, like in me as character. And so it's been just a refining and rebuilding. So I loved that she was really expressing the resilience within that, with still in her own practice and going, I don't know if I'm going to have a season, but I still need to get up and I still need to do my sessions and be able to still be able to perform as an athlete. To me, I kind of reflected as a reseller. I'm like, those days that I just want to stay in bed and I don't want to photograph anything, or I'm feeling the weight of the world and I just do not want to list anything because I'm not feeling it. You know, here she is trying to be an athlete within this time frame. It just was really, I took a lot from her.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think Bill said this yesterday that he wished it was longer, and it was, but I can't imagine, like, she is this, you know, world-class athlete, and she's also on boards of like she has all of her own businesses. She's a mom. Like, I think I'm busy. I can only imagine how busy she is.
Another 15 minutes would have been nice though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And I think I did think she had a lot to say. And I do agree. And I don't follow Poshmark this was my first Posh Fest. I don't follow it to the level of like who's on their board, and I know their culture a little bit, but I thought it was interesting that she said it was the most diverse board that she sat on.
True, yeah.
Which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
All right. So New England Lizette is saying, yes, we all succeed through our struggles. As hard as 2020 has been, I am doing things in my business I would have never have thought to do last year. Yeah. Like I never would have considered a palette. And now I just purchased another one this morning. So I think, I mean, it's hard to get up some mornings and deal with the business, but I think it has been, I'm trying to look at the bright side and say, okay, it's pushing us to do things that we wouldn't have done prior, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right. So the next thing was the hackathon. I'm going to leave my comments until after. So I'd like to know you guys, did you guys bring notes, or do you want me to share what was revealed in the hackathon, and then we can.
I have my notes, but that's just because, you know, I have no recall. So.
Well, I don't either. You were talking about it yesterday on your thing, and I was like, oh yeah, they did say that.
Yeah, if I don't write it down, I don't remember at all.
Well, if you want to talk a little bit about some key highlights, things that you liked, things that you didn't, whatever you want to talk about around the hackathon.
Okay, I'll start because I want to I'm always the silver lining person, but I definitely want to bring up kind of not a negative perspective, but more of a constructive criticism perspective, which is not normally what I do, but I think that we need to look at things realistically. So I'm glad that they had a number of features coming out, but overall, without going into detail with each of them, what I found lacking was that these were a lot of seller tools, but not for buyers. And if 1 in 5 Americans are using Poshmark, those are potential buyers for us, and we need to make it easier for them to purchase. As a buyer on Poshmark, we run into times where we've ordered things a number of times and then we never get them. We have to wait 7 days for it to be, whatever, and then we can cancel. But we get excited about things. And then customers that are first-time buyers, they want to make sure that they have, a great experience or they won't come back. So overall for us, I think it was very geared towards sellers and lacking in data. And data is what we need. So that was what I was looking for is more reporting or that kind of thing for sure. So
well, the bulk print thing I think is nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's going to be amazing.
I think that was probably the best thing that came out of Hackathon. But everything else, and the delete a bundle thing's nice too.
Oh yeah.
I don't
But
care about that.
I think the bulk.
Ain't no one got time for that. I just leave everything
printing
there.
was the best that came out of that. The filters, they're like pseudo Instagram filters, and I don't.
Well, and it's actually
pictures off app.
Yeah.
It's actually terrible for the SEO to put any filter on your pictures.
Right.
So stop doing that. Don't encourage people to do that. But then from Poshmark, because we have to think about it, this is a business, this is Poshmark. From their perspective, it keeps it more Poshmarky, right? You have this filter and people see it and they know it's Poshmark, right? So they're running a business too. I do think it's interesting because they did mention yesterday, Tori, you mentioned 1 in 5 people are on Poshmark. I told my husband that stat and he was like, well, but I'm on Poshmark and I've never bought anything. So I think it is they did announce an IPO. They did a draft for it 2 weeks ago now, right? And I was surprised they didn't say anything, or did I miss it? Did he? They never said anything.
They didn't say anything about that at all.
So I'm wondering how many of these things are to make themselves appear better for the IPO, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because then they'll go public and they'll raise capital and things will improve. But that's kind of some of the takeaway that I got from it. A lot of these things are making us more on Poshmark and more into the addicted kind of to Poshmark, right? Yeah. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
Just kind of if anyone didn't see the hackathon, so they said they are doing a search through the closet. So if you wanted to quickly look up something, you would now have that searchability at the top. Search by most likes. As someone who's selling on it, that definitely was nice because I want to be able to look at those and focus my offers towards those items and maybe do the closet clear outs. I don't want to have to go through my whole closet. I have 1,600 items. Ain't got time for that. So if I can do that through likes, that's super awesome. Filter by party periodically before, when we have the parties that are the Anthropology or Free People, or I generally just click brand. I already filter off to the side of my closet and then I'm already searching that way. But I do know maybe some people haven't thought of it that way. So that might be beneficial. It was a lot of streamlining. We do have the search your purchases and sales. I did also appreciate being able to, as people have mentioned before, sometimes there's money left on the table and we haven't gotten paid for something. So if we can look through either our purchases or our sales and see what's going on in a particular order, that's pretty handy. In sales, filter through the day. I don't remember what I was saying in there. In sales, you can filter through the day. So if you're on vacation and you wanted just to filter X amount of days, so that way you can bulk print out your labels, you can do that as well. I just always have to do the tabs. So I'm appreciating that portion. The one thing I was really, really hoping for, and again, that's just someone who's a business owner on Poshmark, is being able to have a 1099 at the end of the year. I just want that piece of paper. And so I think it kind of goes back to what you guys were mentioning of just being able to have some of the simplistic data that we need. I did watch Nicole's video, and they're really still trying to pull the data just from the Excels that they have given us so far. But everything feels so simplistic on Poshmark, except when it comes to data. It seems very difficult to try to get the simple little answers that we need. And so I do know that there was a couple people that mentioned that on Instagram, and there was already someone from corporate that reached out to that person and says, what type of data do you want? So hopefully they're already taking note of that. And yeah, I like the enhanceability or streamlining some of my systems, but I was really hoping that we could get that 1099
Yeah.
One other thing too, that, just the international shipping. So sorry, I forgot. I didn't write that because that was on day one. And
Yes.
Dresden, yes, awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, thank you for keeping up. I don't have a bill sitting behind me to do the comments. So if you guys see them and you want to like interject, feel free, because I try and manage it both. So a couple things that you touched on, Ashley. Search the closet. I cannot wait for this as someone who sells on multiple platforms. I spend so much time trying to find an item that I've sold on eBay to take it off of Poshmark, because they don't, even if you filter by brands, not all of my brands come up. And I think someone mentioned, I think maybe Tori, you said, someone said you can do, Control F. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but you can only do that on a computer. Poshmark is made in it for an app, and I do most of the stuff on an app. So it will be nice to search because I'm selling somewhere else. So I don't know if that was their intent, but as a seller, that'll help me as well. And then do it by likes. And I thought it was interesting. So, and we'll get into this in a minute, but I did go into the app Me Anything, where you can talk with someone. And it was me and this other person, developer. So it was like one-on-one. It was pretty cool. She like got my, we'll talk about it in a minute. But she like got my email and was like, can I like reach out to you? And I was like, sure, you can. Because I brought up data and stuff. But we were talking about, searching by likes. And I said that was going to be nice because then you can send out offers or do closet clear out. Because I have 900. Ashley has more than I do, but like it would literally take me all day to send out offers or closet clear out on every single item. Like, come on. And so if I can do it by likes and exporting the inventory reports and sales report, and I mean, those are nice. Obviously, I've built dashboards for them, but that's extra time that we all don't have. Something I did want to touch on, because it seems, and I'm hoping the IPO, if this goes through, will help with this. It seems like they're torn in really knowing where they're headed. Do they want to be a reselling platform for resellers and give us more business strategies? Or do they want to be more of a buyer's people who are cleaning out their closets, like not full-time resellers? Because if you think about it, that is the majority of Poshmark. We're kind of a small knit group. I would probably guess 5 or 10% of that, 1 in 5 people are us, actual resellers. Most of the people aren't. And so if you do a lot of the features that we're wanting, that's going to be completely overwhelming, and it's going to turn to an eBay almost. And then Poshmark will lose its Poshmark, right? So I think they need to, hopefully the IPO, they'll be able to figure out which way, or maybe they can mold the two together. All right, so that was a hackathon. The only other thing I want to say, I've never attended one, but I did watch a hackathon last year on their YouTube, and their demeanor and script was so comical. If you guys have not watched it on YouTube, go watch it, because they're definitely like developers, engineers, but they have like this script that they're like trying to like play it off and be fun. I mean, it was hysterical, I thought.
Well,
I don't know if it was.
You don't know if it was definitely, it felt forced. I think that was kind of the thing. I was like, well, I mean, but they're making an effort. But I wish they would have demoed. And that was the thing that last year, even when they showed something that wasn't done, they still showed at least a demo.
Right.
This was more talking. And I get that, but a lot of people are visual. And like me, I need to show me what it is. Show me how it's going to work. But I think going back to the point, they probably don't have it fully fleshed out yet. So this is more like, this is what we're working on. It'll be done. But I missed the demos.
Well, and we know their IT department's like that big.
Yeah.
So they need to kind of bulk that up quite a bit if all this is going to happen.
Yes. And there's a comment from Leslie I want to point out, because I thought it was really interesting. She says, it sounds like work to me. It's work for people who manually sell in the app, but for me, all the features add more work. And I think that's
I had my cursor on that. Once you were done, I was gonna. So we're on the same page, and I agree. And that's why I've ventured out to different platforms. I think that's kind of, I don't know, it's helpful. All the YouTubers doing what sold videos will love the filter by day, though. That's true. It is a pain. Although I filter by just in and sold, and then it just.
That's what we do.
Yeah. eBay is a mess because you can't do it without showing people's
It's so frustrating.
names. Yeah. Anyway, that's not the point of this. So then it goes into, and I know you're going to have something to say about this, Tori. Then it goes into
Nat Kelly.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember her name. I saw her. She was so inspiring. I'm not even really that big into sustainability. I mean, I think it's good, but I'm not like hooray, hurrah. And by the end of that, I was like, well, clearly I need to be like an activist for this now. Like, she was so passionate, had some really good points. So if you guys want to, I didn't actually write anything down. I was trying to take pictures during that. So if you guys want to share what you guys had takeaways from that.
Well, this one was my favorite, my entire favorite thing of the entire Posh Fest. And I'm glad they gave her enough time because unlike Serena, who felt like it had a very short amount of time, Nat Kelly had plenty of time to talk about regenerative fashion and how, you know, as resellers, I think a lot of us are aware of sustainability. You know, we thrift, we know how much goes into the landfills, we know what's out there. And so for me, you know, I've always been focused on being as green as possible. I mean, there are areas we need improvement, but this was a way that I connected with her on fashion in general, because I love fashion and I love everything about it. And one of the things that I took away from everything she talked about, regenerative fashion, by the way, look it up. There's like books on it, so many things, was I was contributing. So even though we thrift everything, right? We source everything, we thrift everything. When I would find something with damage, I would donate it back to Goodwill. And that is, and I didn't even think about that was still bad for the environment, because now you're having to drive over, you know, most likely. So now you're the emissions, and then also you're putting items back there that they're going to have to get rid of because no one's going to buy it. So it's like, take those items and upcycle them, use them for something else. So that was kind of my biggest aha moment with what I could do to improve. Because again, yeah, I walked away from that session so just like, what can I do now? What can I do? How can I change things? And that was the one thing when I cleaned out my closet after that, which I did. Of course, I have a big
and there's a video. And there's a video. Yes, Tori is doing a
October.
video. Yes, Tori is doing, maybe I'll do, I remember you doing it last year and I was like, okay, next year. And then there's a pandemic and I'm remote learning with 3 kids. So maybe next year. It's so hard to do a video every
It's so
day.
hard.
Well, and that fact that 90% of the donated clothes gets burned or shipped overseas, that's huge.
It is huge. And a lot of people don't know that. But anyway, so I will step back and let Ashley contribute to this. But I was like, I took action, and I was just so excited. I did like a TikTok. I did all these. I was so excited.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to have to check out those TikToks. One of the things I've really enjoyed on TikTok right now, that's the trend, is that upcycle. I've really begun to see it a lot more. And I really do feel like what she was talking about just was fitting that to a T. She was most certainly speaking my language too, because not only was she talking about regenerative fashion, but also regenerative agriculture. I live in an area that's rural, and that is actually something that my husband has been studying over the last several years, is aquaponics and all these different ways to bring nutrition back into our soils, so that way we do have a ecosystem essentially that's all working together cohesively. It's beautiful. And we talk about that with the fashion. It just totally speaks our heart and our language of what we want. In conjunction with that, when I actually started to look at reselling as a business, my husband was actually driving truck and he was working at a landfill. That was the project. And he was seeing firsthand like big box corporations selling to the dumps to throw away product that was new merchandise. And I remember even at one point him going like, can't I take some of this? And they say, no, they've paid for us to get rid of it. And it was that moment for us to go like, exactly. It was like, this is why we do this. This is why we have a passion for this. It's so much more than just being able to bring products back into the marketplace that still have value. It's a matter of really protecting our world, our earth, and really helping to slow down that process. And so her as an activist talking about all the different stats, I just loved her passion, and I loved how much information she has developed. And it's in a very short amount of time that she's really just, like you said, there's a lot of resources, a lot of things that she brought up. I was trying to look, I don't remember if I wrote down some of the different resources that she had said, but there was several different books. And I think she did say, like you mentioned, if you can just Google regenerative fashion and agriculture, a lot comes up.
Yeah, there was an article she said from Vogue. Regenerative agriculture was the title of an article in Vogue that was just recently published.
Well, and Leslie's saying that she DM'd her and she actually chatted back with her. So if there was something that you missed or you wanted, and so everything that, if you guys did not attend, everything that we've talked about so far is on their YouTube. This has not gone into the breakout session. So you can go back and watch all of that. I loved how raw and real she was and called herself out. Like, in the beginning, she was like, I was like disgusted with, I don't know if that was the right word, but I was just appalled with myself that I was doing these things and I thought I was helping and I wasn't. And I really appreciate when people are able to do that, because we all get there. Like, you learn something, you don't know what you don't know, right? And then you learn and you're allowed to. I am going to say, Bill, just really quickly, because my husband is on, I totally need to know if Bill is getting the new Xbox.
No,
I think there's a new Xbox?
no way. Have you seen the price tag on that thing?
How much is it?
Somewhere.
Yeah,
You can get
Mr.
it.
Styles, good luck. Be putting your mortgage out on the new house we just got.
My husband, well, so he's big into gaming, and he was telling me, like, I think it was Xbox, you probably know, but new systems came out and he's like, this is like, you can't get them and they're going up on eBay for double. And I was like, let's get into it. And he was like, no, like, I don't like when people do that. I don't want to have to buy it on eBay. I'm not going to contribute to that. Because he's all for reselling. He'll go with me to the thrift store and find, he's like, hey, this is a Halo, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. But if you tell me someone's going to want it, I'll put it on eBay. Sorry, that was a side point, but I saw that coming in. Leslie is saying, if you guys don't follow a reseller's passion, she is just an amazing businesswoman reseller, but then just businesswoman in general. Definitely follow her YouTube and Instagram. I usually place an ad on Facebook and offer the clothes for free. I try not to donate back to the Goodwill. Thomas has a clean out business. That's her husband. He visits the dump, I'm assuming, several times a week. He tries to sell or give away things that are salvageable. Yeah, I think she had so many good points on that. And my daughter, actually, I don't know what she watches or like listens to. I think she goes to a Montessori school, so they're very big on like, composite or composting, and they're, giving back to the earth and stuff. And so she comes home and like gives me like lectures. Mom, we could totally sell that in, or we could put that in compost. And I was like, okay, I don't have time for all that right now. But then I feel guilty. I watch this and I'm like, okay, maybe we need to get back into it. Oh, so Vero is saying, I'd love to see a conversation between Nat Kelly and Nick from NCI Resell. This is right up his alley. Definitely love him. He's such a sweetheart. He's been on the show too. The one thing that I was a little, I don't want to say irked about, but she said, don't donate stuff. And I'm like, well, but that's where we source. Like, you don't have to donate to the Goodwill, but then just donate directly from me. Because if people stop donating, we don't have, you know what I mean? Like, that's our business, but I will take it directly. I would rather not go to the thrift store.
What are we saying?
Okay.
Saying?
And then it gets into, so we're still in, everything's on YouTube. They have a lot of content in the morning, I felt, more than on day one.
Yeah.
On YouTube. And then they get into the trends report. I'm going to quickly go over this, but I'm going to be completely honest. Everything that they said, I do a trends report with Christina from Kit and Bee Boutique every quarter. And she goes over, the trends and what's happening, what's looking on it. Everything they said is exactly what she said 2 months ago. And so if you want to watch that, you can go watch that. So I'll quickly high level go over this, but we're already halfway through and haven't even gotten to the sessions. Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly go over that if you guys want to. It was hopeful. I don't think they're going to come to us and say like Debbie Downer news, right? But it was like, 2020 happened and trends are people are getting into e-commerce. People are wanting to be more sustainable. They want more authenticity, all things that as resellers owning their own business, it all seems really good. A couple things that I wrote down was changing of sizes, right? So people are either gaining weight or exercising more, which means they're donating more and or need more clothes, which is really exciting for us. And then people are looking for a good deal. Definitely noticing in my data that my offers are getting higher. I'm getting higher percent offers. Average sale price is decreasing as this drags out with the economy and stuff. So I don't know if you guys had any points on that you wanted to touch on.
Nope.
Really.
It's all right up. What's that?
That kind of summed it up.
Okay, it's all right up my alley. And if you guys like content like that, you guys and YouTube world, I do a quarterly update with her because it is important to know what's going on and so that you can pivot your business. So now we get into these sessions. So if you last time I didn't have this up. Now I don't. I tried to be organized. There it is. Okay. So day 2, now it goes into the breakout session. So if you have a ticket, this goes into the breakout sessions. I did really appreciate that they aired these later. I heard that they were taking them down yesterday. I don't know if you guys have seen if they took them off the Facebook group or if it is still.
There's a private YouTube. So if you bought a ticket, you can still go into the Facebook and it jumps you over to a YouTube private page and shows all of them. I had missed the last one. I had to leave. So I watched it today.
Okay, so it is still there because I knew they did that. I went back on Sunday and watched some, but I heard someone say that they were taking them down on Sunday. So if you do have a ticket and you missed anything, like Ashley said, their Facebook page gives you a link and you can watch any of these. So the breakout first session was inventory tours, which is what you spoke on last week or last year, right, Tori?
Yeah, it was a little different.
Similar.
I focused more on like spreadsheets and keeping track of your inventory, but then other people on the panel talked about like how, we did talk a little bit about it. Yeah, things. But it was cool. And I loved it because number one, it was Hope, Rags to Riches. She is fantastic anyway. But what was cool is that because we are in this environment, we were able to see both Hope and Sean's actual space that they were in. And that goes back to that, hey, let's pivot. And so it was so cool to see, okay, so I'm talking about the process, but let me show you what it actually looks like.
That's cool.
So I enjoyed that, even though, I've had multiple iterations of inventory. We're redoing ours right now. I've done videos on it. I did, speaking on it, but it's something you should always be, I think, aware of, and evolving is necessary. And so it's always great to see how other people are doing it depending on their space.
Well, Hope's setup was like the freaking Cadillac CTS.
It was so organized and matching and so pretty.
I was like, really, Hope? Really? I have to contend with that?
I missed the beginning, and this is part of the struggle. I enjoyed it being home because I was able to attend. It's over my birthday weekend usually, this weekend included, and the money it costs and travel, and it's also my son's birthday weekend. So I was glad that I was able to go, but then it also meant I was at home, and so I came late because I was having lunch with the kids and didn't realize it had started. So I did miss the beginning of it, but I did enjoy it. I went to that session as well. I love Hope. So I enjoyed seeing her. She always gives me a hard time because she's like, I don't do a spreadsheet. And I'm like, girl, whatever works for you. Like, I love spreadsheets. It doesn't mean everybody else has to. And Sean, he was so well articulate. I don't know. I just really enjoyed his demeanor. I've asked him to be on the channel because he does men's shoes, which I know nothing about. And I just really enjoyed his interaction. But so I did go to that one. Ashley, we got into the inventory. Did you do that one, or should I say the other ones that?
I did Posh Stories.
Okay. Oh yeah. So tell us about that.
That one was really interesting. I wanted to go to it because I haven't done it yet. And it was kind of like, okay, tell me, is this worth it or not? One of the quotes that someone said, and I'm like, this is how every single Posh story starts, is they said, once you do a video and an item sells, you're hooked. And that seemed to be the common thing that they were talking about, those who were on the panel. I can't remember who it all was now, but
I can tell you, I have it up. I'm
like 3 or yeah.
It's Coco Rouge, Evolving Always, which I know Evolving Always, and Mel Cells. Those are their handles.
Yes. So they were talking about there's some different ways to utilize it. And one of the key things that I really took away that I was like, okay, this works for my brain. This works for how this can be applicable in my life is they're saying it's 15-second videos. And a lot of them are just using it all across the board. So it's on TikTok, it's on Reels, it's on the Posh Stories. I'm like, okay, I can see that. And they did mention, all 3 of them, about the fact that they've used Posh Stories before and they've actually seen sales come through with that because it's within like a few minutes or within the hours that it does sell. So I really do feel like somehow Posh is pushing it because I don't seem to see a lot of stories on my newsfeed. But I can see that if I'm going just to use it all across the platforms, it's going to be like, I'm not just using it on Poshmark and that's it. I could end up using it on TikTok or end up using it on Instagram Reels as well. They were saying just the different ways you can utilize it. So taking photos of the items, they're like, you don't even have to be in the videos. Take your photos and do like a slideshow. And as you do a slideshow with music for 15 seconds, each little, like there's that feature that you can click on and it says, see all the items within this video, or it just immediately sends you over to that listing specifically. Some people were still utilizing like the TikTok style where they were putting the items on and then kind of like pulling it off basically and showing the different items. One person always in her videos shows shop with confidence. And so she would also integrate that in of like how she was packing, you know, if something sold, she would pack it right away and, you know, do a little blurb and say shop with confidence. To me, when we're starting to get into like the packaging videos though, I don't know how that really articulates towards like gearing traffic towards, you know, a listing particularly. But that was something that I think she just continues to try to brand herself, essentially creating a marketing within her store that you're shopping with confidence. Another person showed how like clothing tips. There was a shirt that had like a bow on the front. And so she was showing how to tie it properly, but then it obviously popped over to that. So it was just some different ways that people were showing. Oh, and this one I actually thought was a really good technique. So she said, commonly you get questions in your listings. How thick is this item? What's the texture of this item? What is the material made of? And she would message to the person saying, hey, go to my Posh stories. I tagged you in the video so you can see it. And so she'd have it being hanging up and then just show the item. But then now it's on her Posh stories so anyone could see that. And so kind of like answer the question to the masses, but still also show someone, hey, there's Posh stories. So kind of start to direct them that way. I thought that was a really good tactic.
Yeah, have any of you used Posh stories though?
Mm-mm.
When it first came out, I was so excited last year when they announced it. And when it first came out, because I do model my clothes, I was like, this is going to be perfect. But then I did it a couple of times and I did get some, people responding or liking it, but it just felt like more work. But I like the point that you brought up though, Ashley, because I am on every single social media. I do Reels, I do TikTok, I do YouTube Shorts, which is brand new coming out. So like 15-second video in Etsy, even Etsy, I do 15-second videos. Like everything is 15-second videos. So if you can reuse that content, I think that you're already uploading your listing. Just do it.
But if you don't do that, I am not going to waste the time to make a story when I can bust out like 10 more things.
That's true. Time is money.
Just
but I love the photographing and modeling. Like that's, I know. It doesn't make money, but it makes me happy.
Yeah. It does. I know it does make money because I think it does make, especially for vintage, what you sell, Tori, I think is sold so much better if it's modeled. If you sell vintage and you just take a picture of it, it looks like something that your grandma wore, which probably is, but the way that you style it makes people imagine that they have it. Where if it's like a Free People top, okay, cool. Everyone knows what that Free People top is going to look like, so I think it does sell. My thing with stories, someone needs to come out with, or maybe they already have, and I don't know it. So if you know about this, somewhere where I can post it one place and like a list perfectly for social media. Like I want to post to Instagram, like because I posted my Instagram stories and I would put those on. So like if I could do it once, but I don't remember to do that on Instagram and then on YouTube Shorts and then on TikTok and then now on Poshmark. Like, I mean, that even though I have the content ready, it takes, a minute per time per item I have children. Like I did stories the first time. I will say for any platform, and this goes for social media as well, if they give you a new tool, they are going to put weight on that tool. They want you to be using it. It's going to trigger the algorithm. So in the beginning I did stories because I know that's the case, but I just don't. I honestly haven't had a lot of time for Poshmark. It's so time consuming. But it does. If you're on to Poshmark, stories will definitely help, whether people are looking at them or it just triggers it to get sent different places so people see it. It's going to help. That's just how.
Well, and I thought
work.
I don't remember if it was someone at Poshmark that said it or whatnot, but I thought I heard that the videos are going to be able to start lasting them more than 24 hours. Because that was the one thing that I wasn't interested in. I was like, if it's going to be gone in 24 hours, like I don't want to waste that time. But if they can stay on the listing, now I'm okay with that. Like that sounds a lot better.
And I think that they did mention that not in that session because I wasn't there, but they mentioned it somewhere. Maybe on
day one.
It was day one. Because that I think you brought up a really good point. I feel like that's why I probably stopped because on TikTok and Reels you post it and it's still there. It doesn't go away. And you're like, okay, I put a minute into it. It's fine. But if it goes away after 24 hours, it's like, why did I do that? So, but again, signal boost. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even Instagram stories, it goes away, but you can save it to a highlight. And so even then I'm like, okay, I can save the ones that I spent time on. Leslie's saying, and I do this, but I don't ever do anything with it. So I should probably just stop. But she takes video while she's taking photos. So I'll go through all my photos and then I'll have like Instagram photos in between all of my screenshots or all of my listed stuff. Because I'm like, oh, this would be cute. Let me like style it real quick. Okay, cool. And then go back to listing to try and save time. But then I just don't remember to post it. Like, I have like probably 50 photos for Instagram right now that I've taken, and I just don't have the time to always post them. Okay, so that was the first session. So the other session that people with self-care, I didn't go to that. So I don't know if anyone in the clearly we don't care about self-care.
Well, no.
But on that, I don't know. Yeah, I'm a mom. I don't know what that is. On that note, Posh Boss Blake.
Yes, Blake.
Thank you. On day one, he did something and talked about it a little bit, and talked about buying flowers. And my daughter, she like forces me to buy flowers because she like loves the earth, or like we grow flowers, and she's forced me to start gardening and stuff. Not forced. She's 5. She can't force me. But like, no, I know that was like really aggressive.
Strong arm to buy a 5-year-old. Wow.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. She is very much me, which is good when she's older. But now it's like, God, I feel bad for my mom. But like, she will dig into you until like we're gonna garden, and mom, let's do that. Like, until you're like, it's just better to do it than have to listen to it anymore. But back to the self-care. So we've been gardening and flowers, and I think that is one way. A lot of people in that chat that I went to on YouTube were talking about fitness as well. And I know Ashley, you work out as well. And I'm just awful that's my self-care. I try and do it first thing in the morning. So that I get the endorphins, right? It's better than chocolate, although I do that later in the day. When my kids are driving me nuts. All right, so breakout session 2 was Be Your Own CFO. So this is Nicole Collette. I've done a session with her on YouTube talking about this and bookkeeping and stuff. So if you missed that and you didn't go to PoshFest and can't see the recording, I do have a live with her on it where she talks about this. And then it was Creating a Brand That Stands Out, which was with our friend Brittany from Shop Foxborough, and then Be Our Guest Customer Experience. Well, so I'm gonna go to Ashley first, Tori.
Please do, because I'm just like,
what's that?
Is that the one that everyone went to? The CFO one?
I didn't go to that one.
Oh, wait, which one were you just talking about? Okay.
Oh, Creating a Brand. So there was a CFO one, which is like taxes and bookkeeping. I didn't go to that because I've had Nicole on before. And then Creating a Brand.
The brand. Yeah, they did that one twice. So that's why I have that one later. I was like, wait, why did I just do that? Okay, so I ended up doing the bookkeeping, taxes. Again, now that I've been more in like the full time, I'm a connoisseur of all things financial data. So that's why I love Sarah's YouTube channel. I've loved following Nicole as well. So I just kind of wanted to see what that entailed. The main portion, or I guess the start of it, they were like, set your business up for success. I've got notes here, so I'm trying to read it.
Yeah.
Registration, license, determine your tax structure, open a business account. I had my checking account very early on, even as part-time. It wasn't until I went full-time that I actually developed the LLC. But they did mention if you do work with a bookkeeper or can work with them to figure out the tax structure, that's really good. She did also say, this was something I never thought about, but she said, make sure your name hasn't been trademarked. So you can go and check to see if your name's been used, but has that name actually been trademarked? It's a different story. So she used some different, she said, go to USPTO, I think, to look to make sure that it hasn't been trademarked.
You can Google it.
Yeah. And then the rest of it was about how do you use your sales report for that monthly bookkeeping. And then, of course, if you do implement the feature that shows how much you paid for the item, it really can help you start to look at some of the data that like Sarah has in her dashboard. So that kind of went into more stuff that I already really knew about. One of the questions at the very end, though, someone inquired about, what do you do about your own clothing? So we're always talking about selling clothing from our closet. How do you document that for tax purposes? And she said the IRS has a publication 525 that talks specifically about your own clothing. How do you clock that? Do you do it for full retail? And then did you make money or did you not? Or do you put it at zero? She said that publication really helps answer that question. She's like, I know it's not like the best reading that you wanted to have on like a Sunday night, but it still does help answer that question. And so really that was like, they did a 6-7 minute video of her going through how to print the sales report and stuff like that. So I took some nuggets, but for me, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of past that point at this point, basically.
Yeah, and I feel like this is my first time, and I had heard that Poshfest was more about, if you work to a certain level, that Poshfest was more about networking than like gaining stuff from the content. I felt like there was a good variety of content. Like there was this is how you take good pictures, right? And we're all past that. But like new postures, especially virtual, I wonder how many more newer postures were on virtually, right? Because you don't have to pay to travel. But I thought that there, like the CFO one, I missed the growth one on day one, but I heard that that one was actually really good. All the ones that I went to, I walked away with a tidbit of something. And I thought it was just, I mean, some of it was inspiring. That's what happens when you go to conventions as well. I wanted to know what to do. My CFO, and this is something I'll say on taxes and bookkeeping which is probably, I'm sure she said this in the video because she says it on when she came on me too, is you have to talk to a CFO because everyone's laws are different. They can give general advice and I do mine as zero. Like I just donate my clothes to myself and count it as zero. But I don't know. I'll have to go read that publication and see if there's other things. So she said Nicole's video from Poshfest is on her YouTube channel. I'll have to ask her because Poshmark told me that I can put mine on, but they haven't sent it to me yet, and I didn't record it. So I'll have to ask her because I will. If you miss mine.
So she has that demo. So they actually basically play the video that she created in going through the sales report. It's like an 11-minute video and they only did 6 minutes. So they see the rest of it just go on there.
Gotcha. Okay. But on that note, Poshmark did tell me if you guys missed my session, we'll get to in a second. I don't know if you guys went, but if you missed my session, you're watching this, they told me they're going to send it to me and then I'm going to put it on my YouTube. So everyone, and if they don't, I'm probably going to do my session anyway, because I've had people ask me. And my slides are on my link tree too. So I don't know how much you can gain from slides, but all right. So what session did you go to, Brittany? Tori. I was thinking ahead. Yes, I was thinking.
Don't worry, I'm here.
Wait, there's a fourth in here that we just like lingering in the back.
So I went because they had Brittany's and Nicole's. They both did those twice. I did watch both of them as well. With Nicole's, everything that Ashley said, it was great. And I tried to pay attention, but I went to hers in the last part of the day. So that was right at lunch. So I was like, I got what I could, networked. But Brittany, so our good friend Brittany over at Shop Foxborough was part of the branding panel. And, as someone who spent a lot of time harnessing branding myself and with Bill, I have a special place in my heart for branding. So it was just nice to jump in there and really support her and everyone on the panel and see the different ways that they brand their items. And Brittany does have a downloadable document that helps walk people through how to, come up with their brand and all the different things that you need. One of the key takeaways from that session that stood out to me, everyone was great. Everyone was wonderful. Eileen, which I don't know what her closet was. I just remember because I saw the video. She has a very specific branding for outdoors. So she does everything like in the beach, outside, because it's very, she's very surfy. Yeah. And so what she did in the winter, she brings shells and everything from outside and sand in so she can still take her branded pictures even when it's out of season. And I thought that was a really creative way to do that. Especially like as someone who does my own modeled photos outside now that we have this house, I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to have to bring a piece of myself to the indoor. So it was just a really great takeaway from that your branding needs to be very clear so that no matter what's happening, you can prepare. And I really enjoyed that piece. And then Brittany, of course, just because, she's my girl.
Table 99.
I'm assuming because you guys said that something else. That's the table you guys sat at last year.
Yeah, we have this whole, so our whole group that was at table 99, we all have stayed in touch, and we're like
together the whole weekend.
We do FaceTime Fridays with a couple of the people every Friday, and we have like this core group. So we're table 99 for life.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's something that you don't get, I mean, unless you feel like it's the same, but I feel like I didn't. No. The chat during the YouTube, I thought was easier than during the Zoom sessions. I felt like the Zoom sessions, it was a lot of people like, here's my closet, and so the actual questions, I couldn't, I just quit chatting in the Zoom calls because I was like, I don't know what's going on and this is getting annoying. I'm going to listen and take photos so that I have things to live this week.
Well, and there were no moderators anywhere, so it was just chaos.
There was some, and I forgot to bring this up yesterday. There were people that were saying very inappropriate things in the YouTube comments, and that was one thing that happened that I was very upset that Posh didn't catch that during the YouTube session, because the thing, it was like, I
blatantly bad.
It was just bad. And it wasn't just one time. One time, we know people get through all the time on our shows, right? People get through, but with this, it was more than one time that it kept happening and the same person. So anyway, that was the one thing I was like, the chat was lacking, and then that happened. But the chat was a great way to, I took a lot of information from people, a lot of their contacts, and what I was doing was multitasking, not listing or anything, but I was networking. So I had Posh up and I was sharing closets, right? Actually, okay, so I was sharing closets, and then I was going on YouTube and I was following people's YouTube channel, and I was sharing different links with people. So for me, that's kind of overall with the chat and Zoom, even though it was bombarded with everyone that was just like, follow me, follow me, follow me, I was still trying to make those connections.
That's what was nice about IRL PoshFest. Like, we met Leslie last year face to face finally. It was just, it's that human connection that you miss when it's Zoom or YouTube or whatever. It's just, you can get the feel for the person.
Yeah, it was different. It was just networking this year and not community, but.
Well, and I'm glad that I thought maybe I should network, but Saturday morning is the only kid-free time that I have to work. And so I was like, if I don't do any work this Saturday morning, I'm going to have nothing. And I was already behind because I was spending some time prepping my PoshFest thing, so I wasn't getting normal things done. So while it was all really fun, I do feel like I missed out on a lot of networking. I did a little bit more on Instagram, honestly. People would say something on Instagram and tag me, or I would see someone who was going live on Instagram to recap something, and I would some more on Instagram than on the Zoom calls at all. But you did segue a little bit into some of the technical difficulties, and I do want to give kudos because they did have to transition this quickly. They're not Zoom can be hard. They're not used to doing it. So I do want to give kudos. I think they did a good job, but there was a lot of technical difficulties. A lot of people, I didn't have trouble getting into the breakout sessions. I almost missed my session, to present, because they sent me the wrong link, and then no one was. I logged on as they were going live. We were supposed to be there 15 minutes early. No one was answering emails. I was like, this isn't letting me in. No one was. It was, I hope you couldn't tell, but I was so nervous, and I was like, I almost missed my session. But I know a lot of people weren't able to log in. Did you guys have any technical difficulties over the weekend?
Just on day one.
Yeah, the first day.
Hold on, let's let Ashley.
Yeah, no, that was just the day one. I was frantic. I suddenly got registered for the App Me Anything, and I was like, where's the breakout sessions? And so I was trying to go anywhere and everywhere and found the Facebook page. They finally had the links, and so I was like, okay, well, we can go into that. Did you want to go into the YouTube breakout, or did anyone else do any other breakout sessions?
We'll go to the third one in a second. I was just going to talk about the technical difficulties, and something I thought the first day was chaos because my email said one time, and then the app said another time, and then I got an email that said it's going to start in an hour, and then an hour later I got another email that said it was going to start in an hour. And so I'm very glad that I did not speak on day one, because especially the first session, I would have been like, I don't even know what's going on.
I stopped looking at my emails. Honestly, it was like, because when I first woke up and I knew it started at 8, I got an email that said it started at 9. And then Bill was mad because he's like, I could have slept in longer because it starts at 9. I'm like, no, it starts at 8. And so I jumped in, and then that's when Ashley, same, I went to Facebook, I went to the private page, I went to the events, and that's what I lived by the rest of the session.
Yeah. I had bookmarked it.
Yeah, and I am glad that they had that. So I am going to talk really quickly because session 2, I actually forgot. I went to the App Me Anything because I kind of wanted to see what that was about. And what I liked about this is it was with a developer. So it was like we talked and connected, but after about 10 minutes, it was like crickets. Like you could tell the conversation had ended. So then I left and went over to Brittany's. So I missed the beginning of hers, but it was nice because like in person, I don't know if you would have been allowed to kind of switch between the two. And it was nice because so she's a developer and she was asking me things. And I was being very candid with her. Like, she's like, well, what would you like to see? And I was like, girl, we need some data. Like, we need to know how we're doing and when. She's like, well, what do you want? And so we were talking and she's like, can I get your like email address and we can like talk like when we have ideas? And I was like, absolutely, you can totally do that. Because I was telling her about, she had asked me about offer to likes, and I was like, I can't do offer to likes. And it was like it blown her mind that I had 900 items and that feature wasn't manageable for me. So I think it was good because they don't like, we're not all of the people on PoshMark. Right. So I think hopefully it was good. And she seemed very genuine, like wanted my information and said, you guys, you had some really good ideas. Can we like touch base with you again? So hopefully I told them views. That's one of my big things. Like, I want to know if my things are being seen.
Right.
So I wanted to touch on that because that was kind of interesting. I didn't know I was going to be the only person having a one-on-one conversation with a developer, but okay. So now session breakout 3. So this was the YouTube one, which Ashley, I'm taking it. That's the one that you went to, Poshmark Canada, and then my session, and then also the CFO one, right? So was there 4? No.
There was like 4 rounds, but there was multiples, like some that happened in multiple sessions.
Yeah. So the CFO one happened twice. So the bookmark, so we already talked about that one. And then Mogi Beth and Becky Park were on the YouTube one. And then I had, which really bummed me out because that was the biggest one that I wanted to see. And it was during my session. So I'm glad I went back and watched the recording of that last night, 2 nights ago. I don't know what day it is. So Ashley, you attended the YouTube one? Yes. Good. How was it? Tell us everything.
I felt like it was really good. It was for the first time I was able to kind of articulate YouTube in a way that seemed logic. Like I could actually do this in my world right now. One of the main things they were talking about, I mean, at the beginning, they're like, you want to make sure searchability, you want to get on YouTube's good side in regards to the algorithm so that you become a recommended. But then they brought it into just like finding one thing, like even in reselling, it's vast. Like we could talk about so many different things in reselling. And Becky made the point of saying like, I just was consistent first and did 1 video a week. And that 1 video a week was what sold. She's like, but then when I could start to go into more manageable, like 2 videos a week, then I started to play around with that second video. But her algorithm started working in the favor, and anyone who was looking up what sold, her videos were being recommended. And that was the thing that they said, just really hone in on something and get on YouTube's algorithm good side, and you will be able to start to grow within that. And then Mogi actually at one point made the statement that she'd been off and on, kind of like me, been off and on YouTube. But when she decided she was ready to go for it, she's like, I did 1 video a day. She said, I wanted a YouTube to know, hey, I'm here, I'm present, and I'm active. And she said, still even to this day, if she takes a couple weeks off, she says she drops in search and she drops in everything. And so when she said that, I'm like, well, no, duh. It's just like Poshmark. It's just like eBay. You have to stay consistent. Otherwise, they're going to say, well, you're not active. We're not going to support you if you're not going to be here and be present. So that they talked about so much, but those were the major key takeaways that I got.
Well, and wow, I just wrote down the word niche. Okay, let me get my brain in here. So one of the things that they also talked about is that they both, the niche. So yes, being consistent, so important. I mean, I'm even finding that my numbers are going up for Vlogtober, even though my videos aren't that great. It's because I'm doing them every day.
Yeah.
But the niche effect. So, Becky focuses on part-time, and then Mogi focuses on what she focuses on and, mental health. And I felt like that was such a great way to really tell everyone there are so many different areas that you can speak about on YouTube. You don't have to feel intimidated. You can't compare yourself to where they are, because we all have our own little areas. So I really liked hearing their beginnings. And here's another surprising fact. Both of them have only been on YouTube for a year.
Ooh.
Now that right there, I was like, what?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
I was like,
Only a year?
Yeah, both of them. They both started at the same time. They said right after PoshFest last year, I guess, or right around the same time. That blew me away. I was like,
well, now I'm just ready to quit.
I feel like we both have been off and on YouTube for a while, but I think they committed a year ago.
Yes, and I actually think that is what was said, because Becky Park was on, they were both on before I got on, and I've been on for a year and a half. But I think they committed. So I think they already had the head start to know an algorithm, to know how to edit a video, to know how to, because there's a huge learning curve on YouTube. It took me 6 months to a year to even feel like I knew how to upload a video in less than 5 hours. So I think they already had that and kind of knew.
Yeah.
But I think they started taking it seriously for a year.
Yeah.
And I attended, well, I didn't attend that because I had my session, but I watched that later. And I watched it at like 10 o'clock at night on Saturday, and then I couldn't sleep. It was a terrible idea because then I had all these ideas, right? I was so inspired, and I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to, but it was good because I don't know why it didn't click to me, but it's another not reselling, but it's another platform. We know how to make Poshmark work. We know how to make eBay work. I just need to spend the time on YouTube. YouTube's analytics are like amazing. I just never really spend the time on it. So it was very inspiring to me. Like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to look at the analytics, figure out, I have a niche, but I think I could really like hone in on it a little bit more and figure out what's working. And I will say, to the everyday thing, when I finally got monetized was when quarantine first happened, and I was like, I need to talk to somebody, so I'm going to do a vlog every day. Like, I don't care if anyone listens, but like, I just need to like blurt out and like have some kind of interaction. And I did it every day for a month, and it got me monetized. So it definitely likes you, but that's hard, right? Like, we're reselling, we're moms, we're full-time jobs. So it is really hard for sure.
I just remember like El Ducha, when she first started, she was around the time that I really started to learn about full-time reselling. And I was obsessed with her hauls because I just wanted to learn brands. And I remember her at one point saying that she would turn on the video for recording, turn it off, and then post that. She's like, I don't have time for editing. I'm like, when they were talking about that, it just reminded me of that. And I was like, again, simplicity, like low cost to entry, and you can make it as simple as you want. But I think because of the analytics and everything else in my brain, I just really overcomplicated it.
But I think to the point of analytics, and this is kind of where I'm at now, is you need something to analyze, right? Like, you can't start analyzing your first video. You can, but it's not going to tell you anything. So just build content, and then YouTube will tell you what people like. You'll learn what you like. And I think that's kind of like, I feel like I have enough content now that I can really look at the analytics and hone in on what I like doing, what people like doing. I can play with a little bit. I found ways to do videos without, but I will say big YouTubers, I don't know how you guys feel, Tori and Bill, but big YouTubers are like, oh, I don't do thumbnails and I don't do editing and stuff. Well, because you already have the audience. Like, if I do a video that's not put together very well, people are gonna be like, who is this girl? I'm not watching this.
Maybe, but then they might relate to that because then they're looking at it from, especially if they're there for data, they may not need to have everything put together. But we are perfectionists. And I know that you and I are very similar, and that we don't want to put anything out that isn't polished or isn't the way we want it to. So I feel like,
no, our lives are not polished.
Yeah, but that's another way around it.
That's why the only videos I've been doing for like the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 months has been live videos, because I was like, I don't want to edit. I don't want to, it takes me hours to build content. Like, I can come on here and we just had an hour worth of content that I didn't have to prep for. Mine is going to Poshfest. But I was going to do that anyway, where a video, I think you do have to, I am a bit more particular, and I want to make sure that it's right. But I would say, Ashley, get into it, just start doing it.
I know, right?
I also feel like,
I'm a former marketing coordinator. And so my brain that's that artistic must be perfect. And like, I would paint over my canvas if it didn't feel right kind of thing. Like, that's how I feel when it comes to editing. I love it. It's actually like my, like, time to just relax as well. But in the same breath, I'm like, it doesn't look good. It's not good enough yet. So yeah, it's just a matter of getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amber resells. If you guys don't follow her, I love her content. I love YouTube's analytics. They're always refining them too, which is nice. You can learn so much from the analytics. Yeah. That's kind of on my agenda for this month, probably into November, is to work a little bit more on the YouTube. I don't know. I was gonna say something, but we are at the hour, so I don't know. I'm gonna ask you guys, was it worth it? PoshFest.
Yeah. Yes, I would say for me, yes. Last year, no, that cost. I mean, the community was great.
Oh man, last year was awesome.
So we paid $25. We had one box that we got of the swag. What was in the box was worth $25 right there. You know, your mug, your t-shirt. If you like Poshmark at all, you got some really cool swag worth $25. Content, I feel like this year the content was better than last year. It was more refined, I think. And so that's it.
No.
Bill still doesn't agree.
No.
You'd rather pay for the party.
I would rather pay for the party because the party was great. I mean, we met so many awesome people. It was so nice.
That's valid.
Except for breakfast on day 2 where we had to wait like 45 minutes because people kept snagging you.
No, tell us all the dirt, Bill. Come on.
I talk a lot, Sarah. I talk a lot.
So Ashley, because you went last year too, right? So you I have nothing to compare it to, just the fear of missing out that I had last year on Instagram. But Ashley, you went last year too. What were your thoughts on the two?
I feel like we got a lot of good information with the comparisons between this year and last year. Last year, they were trying to fill all day. So I feel like you were mentioning, they were kind of trying, there was a lot more fluff. Like, let's put it that way. It was like nuggets. We need to make sure every single moment we have is valuable. And so I feel like that's why we had a shorter conference each day and we were able to get so much value out of it. But in the same breath, the experience is why you buy your ticket. And I'm like you, Sarah, my birthday was on that weekend. And actually, no, it was the Monday. So we went to Sedona, my husband and I, we made the most out of the trip. And that's why we like going to conferences. We can get away from all the kids and we can have that time to think. And that was one of the things I did mention to my husband. I was like, on one hand, I appreciate that we have a conference this year, but at the same time, I'm so distracted by my kids and the house that's messy and the work that needs to be done. At least when I'm gone and away, now I understand why millionaires go on vacations and just are secluded in a hotel for 3 days, or go on vacations and just mentally get away from everything, because the creativity and the amount of things that you can think of, and then just the networking, the ability to kind of get that from other people. There were people that I met at the PoshFest last year that I've built and carried those relationships with all through this year, which was perfect for COVID because I could carry those relationships through Instagram and everything else. So yes, I feel like there was value from both of them, but I still really like that face-to-face connection.
Yeah. And I think probably this year we would have, because I was still nursing last year. And so it was just, and I was fairly new and I'm cheap. I was like, I'm not paying to go somewhere. Get out of here. Frugal. I'm fiscally conservative. I can't say it, but I think this year, had it happened, me and my husband probably would have done a little weekend, especially depending on where it was. If it was somewhere late, maybe not. But I think too, I didn't feel as inspired as I feel like if we would have gone to a conference, because like I said, I was trying to work and I missed some, the whole first day, I didn't go to any of it because I have 3 kids at home remote learning. I probably in hindsight should have had my husband take the day off so I could have done it. But I was like, oh, they'll let me do it. Well, Ashley, you have kids. The second you want to do something, they're all over you. But we have gone over our time, so I don't want to keep you guys any longer because I do really appreciate you being here. Great talks. Thank you so much. Definitely follow Ashley on Instagram and YouTube. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot more content from her. And I feel like one more thing for YouTube. I feel like the YouTube, maybe I haven't found it yet, but I feel like the YouTube community isn't necessarily as tight knit. I feel like I struggled a lot. I didn't have a lot of people to ask about how do I do this. And Instagram, I feel like everyone's here, do this, do a lot more. So took off on Instagram a little bit more because I felt like I had a bit more support. So if you are trying to start YouTube, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I'm not a pro by any means, but I will support you in what I know because I know how hard it is to start it. GirlyGrrlStyles has a YouTube channel and an Instagram. Follow them over there. And thank you guys so much. If you like content like this and data analytics, looking at strategies that work based off of your data, make sure to subscribe. Also subscribe to GirlyGrrlStyles. She does a lot of videos looking at the numbers as well. And Ashley too. Obviously why we've all connected. So have a good night and don't forget to